Okay, and so then it is my pleasure. So a little bit of a change in the program. And it is my pleasure to welcome David Luzzi, who is a Senior Vice Provost of Research and Vice President of the Innovation Campus at Northeastern University in Boston.
Thank you, Olga. You just leave that up there. Oh, that's fine. Yes, hello. I'm going to start in the... Hi, Bob. I'm going to start in the future and where Olga ended, and then bring it back into the past. So in the future, I think we can pretty much be guaranteed that we are going to see a continued drastic increase in productivity that penetrates all of the research enterprises from industry through academia, et cetera. And this productivity increase can be pretty profound, will be pretty profound, and it will require, certainly for the academy, a closer and deeper partnership with industry going forward. So I really hope that I can call upon, or I'm calling upon all of the folks here from industry to please stay partners, double down on being partners, because another thing that we can be pretty much guaranteed is that there's going to be incredible new techniques brought forward at the intersection of instrumentation, automation, computation, and processes within those. And that one thing that will not be replaced is the ingenuity, the ability to make leaps of intuition, and the ability for this is, I'm talking about humans, of course, for humans to make that checks and balances against some of the risks that these automation techniques bring in. So I'm making an appeal and a call as we go into the future. And one thing else that we could be guaranteed is that institutes will be a key part and driver of that whole thing in academia. Because if we think about what differentiates an institute from a department, from a college, is that an institute brings together across disciplines the many different techniques and talents and people from all different backgrounds that can really work together to advance things. But also just being in an institute makes each individual person start to think in a more multidisciplinary way. And I think you can see that in terms of the results in the Barnett Institute. So let me say, first of all, now I'm going to leap way back in the past. So institutes require vision. So Barry, your vision at the very start is just essential, not only for the Barnett Institute and everything that has followed since then, and I'm going to talk about a few things that probably haven't been covered in terms of legacy of the Barnett Institute, but also in terms of your vision for where to go, who to recruit, how to train, how to inspire, and how to, because I've done it before at another institution, drag the university kicking and screaming into the future. Okay, because that is what visionaries who start institutes do. Just Barry and I actually connected, I mean, very different fields. I'm a material scientist, so everything that Olga put there in terms of new technologies, that was because of us. So anyway, so the, all joking aside, Barry was actually on the search committee, as we often discuss when we get together, that recruited me here as Dean of Engineering. And Barry had an institute, I had built out an institute in nanotechnology, another thing that solved every problem in the world. And so we really, I think, resonated around there. We had a thought process that went beyond the traditional academic thought process. So it really was a great conversation and interaction from the very beginning. And then, of course, I want to celebrate the Barnett family, Lou and Madeline, because they also had the vision, because the reality is resources are essential if you want to do something and you want to do it in an important way and you want to do it on at scale. And therefore, that legacy is as much the Barnett families as it is Barry Karger and the faculty that have gone on. you've already heard about the Human Genome Project, you've heard about hydrogen deuterium exchange, you've heard about single-cell proteomics. You'll hear more about some of those this afternoon, I guess. So that's great. I'm not going to go over those again. I'm going to say the great contribution of the, not the, a very important, maybe the most important contribution of the Barnett Institute and everything is, of course, the people that have been associated with the Barnett Institute. And I think many in this room in terms of alumni at different stages. But I also want to focus on the fact that it is also about attracting the best and the brightest, and that's another thing that an institute doing exciting work does. So the Barnett Institute really charted the way for Northeastern University in terms of saying, you know what? Hey, there's a thing called institutes, and they are different, and maybe we should do it. The university has doubled and tripled down on that now, and we have a bunch of institutes, and they have been, and are going forward the engines that really underlie and bring forward the university's research and impact in the world. Of course, Northeastern has been a rocket ship, and I think everybody's aware of that, and where it's going is very important. Okay, and I think it's going to make great contributions. Okay, so let me talk about some of the things that I think are legacy of the Barnett Institute that maybe aren't ones that are going to make it on a slide deck. Although, Olga, you went very close, so good job. Okay, so one of the, I'm going to talk about three. So you're going to hear about single-cell proteomics today. And I don't know if you heard about it, but one of the young faculty who was recruited in, I don't know if Barry was involved in the recruitment of Nikolai when he came here. No, you weren't. Okay, so Nikolai's that young. But in any case, single-cell proteomics is a big thing, and the Barnett Institute really provided that foundational thing to really get going. When I joined as a young faculty member and I came into my former institution, the fact that I was able to join an institute as a young faculty member was actually a very big deal. And it really accelerated my early career development. And I think the young faculty that come into the Barnett Institute and our other institutes experience this. So Nikolai came into Northeastern, into the Barnett Institute, developed his research in his lab, developed some great stuff, and then time is flying by. So over a year ago, I think now, was actually the recipient of a $50 million grant from the Schmidt Futures Foundation, and so Eric Schmidt and Ken Griffin, to actually go out and do something at scale, and that is what he's doing, and I'm sure this afternoon everybody will hear about that. That is absolutely a legacy of the Barnett Institute, the people it brings in. There are an extraordinarily small number of these efforts funded across the country. I think it's only 3 right now. And so we are very proud of that legacy of the Barnett Institute. And I figured it's probably not going to make it on a slide, but Nikolai will talk about it this afternoon. The second thing I want to talk about in terms of legacy of the Barnett Institute. So I'm the senior research officer of the university, so a pandemic hits, and the leadership of the university decides we're going to be the first university to reopen. So we already saw President Aoun in some pictures, but to give you a sense of the way President Aoun approaches things, in May, so we shut down in March of 2020, in May, he wrote an op-ed for the Washington Post, so right down in the halls of power, and said, we must open in September. Universities must open in September. He was kind of laying it at the feet of the federal government. Stop us, okay? So then the question is how? All right, so how was going to be test every student? So who's going to set up testing? Well, of course, that sounds like research, so Luzzi, you do it. Okay, so it really was, Northeastern doesn't have a medical school. Other places already had medical diagnostic laboratories. So really, people who are associated with the Barnett Institute, working in a team that I put together, Jared Auclair, the central person in that, put together, oh, there's Jared right there, put together a operation with corporate partners that achieved the fastest certification of a medical diagnostic laboratory in the history of Massachusetts. Really something that takes like half a year, we did in 6 weeks. And then federal, and then every state in the nation, certification in every state in the nation, and then won contracts to do testing for the airports across the country, for high schools, et cetera. But yeah, a lot of testing of students. That was all executed out in the Burlington campus with some great partnership. And then the third thing I want to talk about is also actually related to Jared and what he has built out that Olga touched on in terms of BATTLE, the biopharmaceutical. That's not the right name now. It's BATTLE still, but now it's the Biomanufacturing and Training Lab. Is that something like that? Yes. Because it keeps expanding in its mission, and we're trying to keep it all under BATTLE. Okay, maybe we'll have to like draw out the A's. Bad. So anyway, so you know, through that effort and moving into training, we were able to engage with Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation, 21 nations, and BATTLE became a center of excellence, an approved official center of excellence for training of regulators, but in a whole variety of different areas. So biologics, then cell and gene therapies, biomanufacturing, et cetera, et cetera. Then beyond that, working with leadership and advisories and within Barnett, with the International Council on Harmonization. Wasim here? There he is right there. Became a trusted training partner of the International Council on Harmonization. And now, very interestingly, the World Health Organization, of course, has created the Coalition of Interested Parties. We are one of the first that is in there. And also, the nice thing that the WHO is not a fast mover, kind of like academic talks, but the WHO has created a fairly understandable way of rating the regulatory environments and operations of different countries around the world. At the same time, Northeastern, through the Provost initiative, has created a new thing which is called impact engines, which is very small number of projects at the university, put something forward that's going to be profound and impactful, and we will give you resources to go and do that. And that combination, we are now, through Jared's team, am I stealing all your thunder from this afternoon? Okay, good. So Jared's team is training regulators and industry in Africa, Latin America, et cetera. But the idea is to take one country and show that we can train that country up through the WHO WHO ratings, to the point where actually now industry can go into that country and actually build out a true drug, et cetera. And for Africa, this is a huge thing, because if you look at COVID and how badly Africa was in terms of, you know, the time it took to get therapies in there, et cetera, vaccines, et cetera, much slower than the rest of the world. So this is really the tremendous legacy of Barnett Institute that isn't so much going to make it on a slide of the science, et cetera, but it's these derivative things. And this would not have happened without Barry's vision in the very beginning and without the Barnett family singling, doubling, tripling, and I heard quadrupling down in terms of gifts and resources to really set up not only the Institute and have it running, but also create the inducement and incentives for smart, great people to come to Northeastern and then do great stuff. So thank you very much. Thank you very much. I unfortunately will not be around for the next 50-year anniversary celebration, but I hopefully will be watching from somewhere. Okay, and anyway, thank you very much, and thank you. Congratulations.